She told me about the wine tour while standing at the hallway mirror, adjusting her lipstick. It wasn't the one I bought her. It was darker, sharper, a bold maroon that didn't belong to our life. Not the life we lived in Sunday sweatpants and quiet dinners. Her voice was light to light. Babe, they already booked it weeks ago. I totally forgot it's our anniversary weekend. Can we just rest? She didn't even finish the sentence. Didn't even look at me. The air felt off. Like the moment right before a storm hits the ground. My phone buzzed in my pocket the same moment she spoke. I didn't flinch. Location alert. Marigold Ridge Vineyard. A place 2 towns over. A place she never mentioned. A place she'd been last weekend. It said. I stood perfectly still. She kept talking, explaining, brushing off our plans like they were flexible, movable, optional, like our anniversary was a dentist appointment she forgot to cancel. She smiled at herself in the mirror, satisfied with her look. I wasn't in her eyes, just the reflection of herself, radiant and unbothered. I looked at her reflection too. Not her. Reflections don't lie. People do. My wife had started telling half-truths weeks ago. I just hadn't caught up. I said, no problem. We can reschedule. It came out steady, calm. She smiled and kissed my cheek. Distracted, already checking her phone for what I assumed was the group chat coordinating the wine tour. I made a mental note. She didn't ask what I had planned. Didn't even seem curious. In the drawer next to me was a small black box anniversary gift. A thin gold bracelet with an engraving she once said she loved from a movie we watched together 5 years ago. Still, here, always. I had the receipt. I could return it. She walked away humming something. Some pop song I didn't recognize. I stood in the hallway and looked into the mirror she'd just been in. Same angle, same lighting. But I couldn't recognize myself anymore. I was tired, not angry, just tired. Later that night, I pretended to fall asleep early. She stayed on her phone, chuckling at something, fingers moving fast. I lay there, eyes shut, counting the spaces between her replies. Not once did she look over. She thought she was getting away with it. She was in single quotes T. She was just being watched by a man who'd already stepped outside the story. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to yell. I wanted something cleaner than anger. Something final. There's a kind of silence that doesn't scream. It sharpens. I didn't bring up the vineyard. I didn't mention the wine she brought back with a fake story about how Trina got it on sale at the market. I didn't even blink when she slipped up and called it the house blend. What house? What blend? She caught herself, laughed it off. I let her. The decision was made quietly. I would not confront her in chaos. I would not give her the stage to cry, deny, manipulate. Instead, I would gather, watch, confirm. And when the time came, I would walk out of the fire, not drag her into it. She asked me once why I was so calm during arguments. I said, because I know how to finish things without raising my voice. She thought I meant conversations. I meant marriages. She started sleeping closer to the edge of the bed, not far enough to notice if you weren't paying attention. But I paid attention. Her arms stopped reaching for me in the morning. The soft goodnight turned into a mumbled breath. The first time I saw her phone light up past midnight, she said it was a late group chat. Trina and Jess were sending memes. She giggled, turning it face down again. I nodded, didn't ask questions. I was done asking. Instead, I started remembering. The Thursday she claimed to be at her sister's. The Friday she said, work ran late. The wine bottle on the kitchen counter. That same Marigold Ridge label. I held it under the light. A limited edition. The kind only sold at the vineyard. She hadn't said she visited. In fact, when I asked offhandedly where the wine came from, she blinked twice and said, oh, I think Jess brought it back from her weekend trip. But she said Trina planned the wine tour. And neither of those women had mentioned anything before. Not that I asked them. I didn't need to. The details weren't adding up. and she didn't even know what lies she was stacking. Any more. She started overcompensating, bringing me coffee in the morning again, touching my arm in the kitchen, like we were still in that soft rhythm we used to. No. But the difference was visible, forced. Like she was watching herself from the outside and playing a part she hoped I'd still want. She started calling me babe more often. That word used to sound like home. Now it sounded like a decoy, a distraction. It echoed like a bell ring to many times empty and automatic. I stopped wearing my wedding ring at night. She didn't notice. She was too busy switching apps when I walked by, adjusting her posture like a student caught cheating on a test. One night, I walked into the living room unexpectedly, and she jumped like I'd slapped her with silence. Her phone was open, a half-written message. Last weekend was. She closed it too fast, laughed nervously. Wrong person. I nodded again. That's the thing about lying. The liar always assumes you're chasing the truth. They never imagine you've stopped needing it. I checked her shared grocery rewards account, small detail, but she'd used it. A receipt showed up from a roadside market near the vineyard, timestamped the same weekend she claimed to be homesick. She bought fresh peaches, a bottle of rose, and a branded corkscrew. She hates peaches. I wasn't building a case to confront her. I was building a case to leave without her ever spinning the narrative I'd seen men unravel themselves trying to prove betrayal. I wasn't going to bleed for answers she refused to give. Her face was different lately, not with guilt, but with calculation. She smiled harder, laughed longer, wore perfume again. She wanted to be seen as a devoted wife. She didn't realize she was only proving how much she thought she had to hide. I didn't fight. I folded clothes, cleaned the garage. I watched her with the patience of a man who'd already grieved the loss, not of her, of the version of her I married. One night, as she reached for the TV remote, her phone screen lit up with a name I didn't recognize. Eli, design team. She said it out loud. She wanted me to hear it, like a defense, like a test run. I let it pass. I wasn't going to argue over a name. I was going to follow the data. And the data would come. It started with her shared a cloud. I'd never once looked at her location history before. I trusted her. She knew that. She used that. But people like her forget one thing. Trust leaves a fingerprint. And I was ready to lift every one of them. I logged into the travel rewards portal she forgot we both used. Last month, a booking appeared. Silver Pines Lodge, room 203. Booked under E. Marchand. Her card was used. Extras included a wine tasting package, a spa add-on, and a private balcony dinner for two. There was no TRINA. No just her. And Eli. I traced the receipts. The same lodge was nestled 10 minutes from Marigold Ridge Vineyard. The reservation matched the same weekend. She said she was working late on a grant proposal. She came home that Sunday smelling of eucalyptus and grapes. I asked if she wanted to order Thai food. She said she was craving sushi. I remember thinking how odd it was she knew exactly what she wanted so fast. That night, I opened her cell phone bill, logged into the detailed usage portal, filtered by outgoing calls. Marchand appeared again. Long, late-night calls. 50 for minutes. 1 hour and 12 minutes. 2 hours. Ending at 3:08. Calls that lasted far beyond design meetings. I pulled up our cell tower data, something most people don't even know. You can request. It showed exactly where her phone pinged. Coordinates placed her at the lodge, on the balcony. In the same room she never told me about. I didn't cry, didn't even feel heat behind my eyes. There was no space left for pain. There was only the final plan. I started removing things slowly. Clothes from the dresser. My tools from the garage. Bank accounts separated. Passwords changed. Mail redirected. She didn't notice. She was too busy pretending to confident that I was still the same man who gave her the benefit of the doubt. I watched her dance in the kitchen one morning, barefoot and giddy, Humming as if guilt couldn't stain her, she kissed my cheek and said, "I'm glad we are in a better place now." I smiled, because I was. The day before her wine tour, I slid an envelope across the kitchen counter. "Open it later," I said. She nodded absently, probably assuming it was a sweet note. A romantic gesture dotted WAS and single quotes T. Inside was everything. Tower pings. Receipts. Booking confirmations. Call logs. A photo of the balcony. All labeled. All real. All undeniable. The next morning, while she clinked glasses with her friends, I moved the last box out. The house was silent, clean. Free. Before leaving, I scheduled a single text to send at 7:13 p.m. our original reservation time for our anniversary dinner. It read, "Happy last anniversary." I blocked her number right after. Not to punish her, not out of pride, but because the story was over, and I refused to let her write the next chapter.